It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
The Truth Network.
Right now.
Ooh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it. Hit it.
It's time for Max World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Call Matt 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
All right, now listen up.
Exclusively on The Truth Network, 99.3 The Truth FM.
6 minutes after 3 o'clock on the 28th day of April in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If you want to really feel that the speed of time is getting ahead of you, it's almost the end of April. I mean, we are almost midway into the second quarter. We're more than 25% done with 2016. Where does time fly when you're having fun? All right, the usual cast of characters is here today. Of course, we have Frank the Verse Thomas, Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat watching the chat, and the Service Legends Truth Talk text line at 515-809-0993. Also, the regular phone lines, the one that you can speak into and tell me what you're thinking, boss. 515-244-0077, and none of that would be possible without the best producer in the world.
Frank the Verse Thomas.
You're not a producer.
I part-time. I moonlight as well.
Okay.
You forgot.
Oh, no, I haven't forgot.
You forgot one of our faithful.
Who?
The empty chair filling in for the AWOL. Christopher Roloff.
He's not here today.
There's an empty chair there.
I know.
You think he's an empty suit anyway.
He's just sitting there. No, I don't think he's an empty suit.
Okay.
I think he's twice the man of most men. Fills the suit just fine.
Oh, we didn't announce that Army Brad is listening from the DOD bunker at a remote location.
The Maxwell Department of Defense, the Secretary of Defense, 7-star General Army Brad, listening from the secret Department of Defense bunker. Although I think we've got a camera in there. I think it's possible for us to turn on our camera. Now, this is radio, so those of you folks at home wouldn't be able to see this, but on the webcast, you could do that. Anyway, I was interrupted rudely interrupted a minute ago. Just, can we say rudely together? 1, 2, 3.
Rudely.
Amen. Our producer, Jeb. Jeb, I haven't prayed about it yet, because I don't know if I can go before my Creator and say, Papa, can I call Jeb, my brother in Christ, Captain Monkey? I don't know. I think God would look at me and say, seriously, dude, I've got more important things to do today. So we'll see. But that was Jeb's name on the radio at his old radio station. Are you still on that?
We just had our last day of school today, so I'll be back on in the fall.
Okay, because Jeb goes to Grandview University. He's a senior there. He's a 7th-year senior. So proud of him. And he graduates this coming fall, but you're on, what is it, 89?
88.1 The Edge.
The Edge. And he goes by the name Captain Monkey. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I want to know, so I'm not going to ask.
I was curious, how many watts does that radio station have?
I know. Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head. I could look it up, though.
Oh, come on.
Bobby, you got the computer.
How about just knowing it off the top of your head, Mr. Broadcaster of the Future?
Hey, I know ours is like, what, 5,300?
This station?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, but we're 6,000. We're Class C2. But what, you don't know what your Grandview station is?
No, I don't.
Okay. It's 10.
10?
10 watts.
Okay, we'll go with that.
All right, so today's exciting show. Now, listen, we really do have a good show today. Why did I hear all these people shake their head and go, yeah, I'm sure you say that every day. So here's our 4 topics. First of all, in the first hour, would you give up your privacy, a lot of your privacy, for cheaper insurance rates? I know. It's the $1 million question. Everybody's asking it. You got it here first. But there's a big article about it, so I want to talk about it. Number 2, Melinda, who's a friend of mine on Facebook, Facebooked me today and said that in her class, in her college classes, evolution is a fact. There is no creation. It's not even taught. And I said to her, well, they can teach whatever they want, but the minute they say it's fact, remember, that's called indoctrination. When they tell you you're wrong and you can't pass a class because you don't buy into their garbage, that's not teaching. That's not even liberal college. That's indoctrination, Mr. Hitler. Third, I have a fun article from a one of the top psychiatrists, in the country, has written an article about transgender, finally blowing the lid off of transgender, I was born that way. Then, next hour, when Ryan Jorgensen comes in, he was here last week, or was it this week?
Last week.
Last week?
21st.
When Prince died. And somebody brought up the fact that Prince was a Jehovah's Witness. And Ryan just perked off and said, yeah, well, he's going to hell. And the phones light up and everything, boom, 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 you're coming at me.
He didn't say he was going. He said he was burning there presently.
Yeah, okay, correct. Thank you, Mr. Verse. He's also got the memory of an elephant.
Well, I just happened to be listening up in Ames on a rooftop that day.
Yeah, he was playing hooky from us, but you know. So anyway, I want Ryan. Ryan's coming back today in the second hour and talking to us about those quote-unquote denominations that are actually cults, and they're not Christian. And I think this is going to be fun. Fun. So that's in the next hour. All right, so first thing I want to do is I have to, you know, Bob, we've been together a long time, and you know how much it hurts me to compliment Frank.
Yes, correct.
But you were present last night when we went over to a friend's house and prayed for his son.
Yeah.
Wasn't that a great prayer that Frank did?
Sure.
Out loud. I've never heard Frank pray out loud. I always figured if I heard Frank pray out loud, it'd be something like this. Oh, Father God, can I please eat pork?
Okay.
Please.
Wrong, bad memory.
But you did a great job last night.
Okay.
I've never heard you pray out loud.
Now wait.
Okay, now wait.
I was invited once to your pastor's dinner.
Yeah, did you
on
come?
A Saturday. I prayed that day.
Did you come to the pastor's dinner?
Well, certainly. You had Richard Webb. You had Jill and Randy King.
What'd you eat?
You had 2 different types of spaghetti. I think you had spaghetti without meat.
Just for you, I did without pork. Usually I make ribs.
Pistachio ice cream.
Yes, that's correct.
Salad.
Yeah.
Garlic bread.
And you're saying you prayed out loud then?
Yes.
Well, it must not have been that good because I don't remember it.
You can't even remember I was at the pastor's dinner.
I've tried to
now
forget.
That I refresh your memory.
Things. Yeah, I've tried to forget my surgery too. But anyway, you just did a great job yesterday. Okay. I just wanted you to know that I was very humbled.
Well, I humbly appreciate the comment.
Yeah, you really did a good job. All right. So here so this is for Melinda because she sparked my interest. There is a 2007 article in the Christianity Today, one of the only few magazines that I always renew because I don't know, it's a good magazine. And Francis Collins, who is the head of the Human Project, reconciles his Christian faith and his scientific theory in a book called The Language of God, presents evidence for belief. He talked with Stan Guthrie, who was Christianity Today's senior associate editor. And he goes on to talk about the fact that here's the question. Okay, so if I ask Pastor Richard Webb at my church, because he's like really important to me, and I don't ever ask him to tell anybody about that with me, so I don't ever feel bad. I say, Richard, is it predestination or is it I'm choosing Jesus? Predestination or I choose Jesus? Jesus, come into my life. Okay, you ask me, I will. Or, holy crap, here comes the hound of heaven. He's going to bite me. He's going to follow me. I cannot do anything to get rid of him. Ouch! I'm for Jesus. And you know what his answer is? Yes, Frank.
He'd say yes.
Right, yes. Yes. And that's the answer when Francis Collins answers the question, creation or evolution. And the answer is yes. Why can't God do both? Why do we limit God, put him in a box and say, well, he either made monkeys and then we came out of monkeys, or Adam and Eve and there we were and boom in the garden, and so it's one or the other, pick it. Is it, Frank?
Well, if you believe the scriptural account, Adam named the animal species. So clearly, Adam didn't evolve from something he named.
Good point. Hadn't thought about that one yet. And of course, we are blessed to have a scientist in our midst. Bob Montserrat is I guess you're really not a former scientist. You just are retired.
Correct. So I forget a lot.
Well, but when I asked you about evolution, you made a simple comment that if something evolves into something else, into something else, into something else, it carries the same DNA. And there is no species or creature on this planet with the same DNA as a human.
Correct.
So that would tell me that evolution is scientifically not provable.
Right. They call it a theory.
Yeah.
For evolution.
Yeah. Okay.
So a theory has to be proven.
So how does evolution fit into your Christian faith? Well, it may seem to us like a slow, inefficient, and even random process, says Francis Collins. But to God, who's not limited by space or time or anything else, it all came together in the blink of an eye. And for us who have been given the gift of intelligence and the ability to appreciate the wonders of the natural world that he created, we have now learned about this evolutionary process in the source of awe and wonder. I find these discoveries, Francis completes his sentence, are completely compatible with everything I know about God through the scriptures. You got something that'll change my mind on that? 244-0077. I'm humble. I'm teachable. I'll listen to your voice here in Mac's World.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
.321, 21 minutes after 3, 28th day of April, and tomorrow, Michael Magason. Remember the conversation we had yesterday about Chevy Boy?
Yeah.
I keep asking him to come to church, and I text him, and old good friend of mine, and finally he just said, no, don't ask again, you know. I'm not one of your, what do you say, projects.
That's what Lisa said.
Yeah, that's what Lisa said about her husband. Her husband said to her, I think, you're not one of my projects. Or I'm not one of your projects. So Megs is coming in tomorrow, going to talk some sense into me. All right, speaking of talking sense, I do, you know this. We've known each other a long time. If you're just meeting me, my hand is outstretched. We're shaking hands. Hi, I'm Mac McCoy. Originally from the great state of Nebraska. Came here in 1978. Started doing radio, buying radio stations, eventually retiring. And then one day at Encore Pizza in Johnston, Iowa, God called me to come and work at this radio station, and so here I am. During that time of my life, I bought and sold a lot of real estate. I still do. It's a hobby. You know, what's the show where they rehab stuff? Man, I was doing that before they had cable TV. And I use one realtor when I do this. Now, I've had a couple realtors over the years, but I don't hop from realtor to realtor. It's like I don't go to Hy-Vee one day and then go over here to Chop Saver or Saving Saver or whatever it's called now, and then over here to Fairway. I'm a Hy-Vee guy.
Flip that house, was that the term he's looking for?
Thank you very much. And right now I'm a Seth Walker guy with RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios. Seth is a married man, a good Christian man, kids, and he loves the real estate business, and he knows his value is only the value you see in him. So he works hard to maintain an integrity and a value for his customers that, quite frankly, a lot of people don't work for. There's one number you can call to reach him. Frank knows that number.
That's 515-577-3728.
577-3728. That's Seth Walker. Just call him and tell him Max said hey. And if you ever drive by a house and your spouse goes, ooh, look at that front yard. I'd die for that front yard. Or, ooh, look at that house. Look at that beautiful architecture. I'd love that house. Seth is the guy you call. Give him the address. He'll check it out. And you're saying, well, yeah, if it's for sale, I could call anybody. Well, what if it's not for sale? What if that house in your neighborhood that you've always wanted, loved, and you thought, well, it's not for sale? Do you know how many houses in the housing market would sell if they didn't have to be readied, prepped, staged, put on the market, open houses? That is just not the most comfortable way to have intrusion into your family. How about if you just said, I like that house. Seth, will you go find out if they'd be interested in selling? It's the way I bought my last house. No, not my last. First, well, anyway, how I bought one of my houses. So if you need a professional real estate agent, don't use somebody in your Bible study, because then you're going to ruin a friendship. Just call Seth
at 515-577-3728
and tell him Frank sent you. All right, we're talking about evolution or creation, and the answer is yes. Now, tell me what you like better, Mac. Do you like white milk better or chocolate milk better? What's my answer? Yes. So, Mac, do you believe in predestination, or do you believe in Arminianism, where you go out and ask God to come in your life and you knock? And then I open the door and Jesus comes in and says, okay, if you knocked and you ask, I'm yours. What's the answer? The answer's yes. Can it be the same with creation and evolution? Francis Collins thinks so. He's the head of the Genome Project. He wrote a book called The Language of God, Evidence for Belief. He says yes. It's not an argument. It's not essential. Don't get into a classroom and start arguing with a bunch of atheists, agnostics, non-believers, progressives, low information voters. Don't do it. The answer is yes. What does it matter? Let's see what Paul has to say. 515-244-0077. Paul, you're live in Mac's World. How are you on this wonderful Thursday?
Not too bad. Glad to talk to you guys. I spoke with Frank about something.
Uh-oh. When?
I'll invoke his name because we were talking about sin and how disease got in there and sin corrupted the human nature.
Paul, you didn't give Frank your cell phone number, did you?
No, him and I talk on Facebook.
Oh, okay. You don't ever give your phone number. Yeah.
I'll give him my phone number sometime.
Okay.
I'll remember it till I die.
Go ahead.
Okay, so about 22 years ago, when I was going to Grace Church, I had written a paper over there, and because I was taking some class at DBAC and stuff like that, and one of the papers had to be creation, adaptation, evolutionary. God, by design, created everything the way it's supposed to be. That was the creational process of it. The adaptation is everything fits into an adaptational process. Trees, people, doesn't make a difference. It's designed by that according to the species that's made. That's the way God intended it to happen. Human beings are the only species that can survive on all 7 continents, aside other things. But the last is the evolutionary process. I go with the microevolutionary process that your body can get cancers or whatever. That's an abnormality of that cell. The DNA of that cell is still the same, but the body no longer recognizes it as a viable part, so it constantly tries to get rid of it.
Well,
I just wanted to verify with Bob if he agreed with that.
Well, yeah, cancer, how am I going to say? It is a breakdown of the body, and your body is designed by God to heal itself.
Your body is designed by your Creator to heal yourself.
Sure,
Okay.
everything put into the earth that He put originally was there so that we can survive off of the earth.
So He didn't put anything out there that'd kill us? That we'd eat?
The Garden of Eden, there's no weeds except for one. There's only one weed in the Garden of Eden.
Yeah, Garden of Eden. Of course, that changed after sin.
The only weed that was in there was the tree of knowledge of good and evil. All Adam had to do was pull that thing out and burn it.
And the tree of life.
Well, the tree of life, that wasn't the weed, though.
No.
We're going to be eating on that tree for the rest of our life.
Right.
And if the Eden was in Iowa, they'd never legalize weed anyway. So go ahead.
Well, see, everybody would be using it.
All right, so are you telling... So what happens when the body gets cancer, then? What happens to the DNA, Bob?
Well, you still have the same DNA in your body, but then you have this foreign substance, cancer, that's being deformed, that is cells that are growing within your system that keep multiplying. And that's how cancer kills you. They multiply and multiply and multiply and multiply. And chemo, really doesn't... Well, I shouldn't say that because...
Basically, it becomes a non-functional to the body itself.
Absolutely non-functional, and it puts poison, toxins into your blood system and into your body. That's a byproduct of it living within you. And we're a huge cause of the problem, meaning that, we make processed foods, we put chemicals out there,
GMOs.
And our body doesn't require that at all. Matter of fact, it's foreign to the body, and that's what breaks us down.
Somebody told me an oncologist told me one time, because we were talking about breast cancer, and he said, I've read from too many really good medical people that they think breast cancer comes from aerosol or rub-on deodorant.
Well, there are many...
A lot of those are hormonal chemicals, and that affects your body. Most of the chromosomes that are affected are the X chromosomes, and that's both male and female possess both of those.
Paul, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If we ate right and had a Garden of Eden style diet, would our immune systems be so superior to what they are now that they would fight off most of these bacteria and viruses that get into our body and give us sickness and diseases?
We would still die because we're sinful. That's it.
Then the second thing I wanted to mention to you is there species of fish that maybe once upon a time had eyeballs, but because they're in such deep, dark depths of water that somehow they evolve into not having eyeballs. God didn't certainly create things, He didn't create mutations at the start. Everything He created was perfect. I'm not saying by some, chance that something is put in a precarious situation that it can evolve into something else.
Is that evolve or is that mutation?
Well, it's a mutation, clearly, but you could call that evolving.
If you go to the book of Romans, where Paul talks about the different types of flesh and design there, God designed human beings to be a specific way, and fish and other animals. Some of them have in their genome itself to adapt to those environments. They can actually turn on and turn off certain aspects of those genes as they need them.
But I'm going to give you a principle that I think everybody should be able to understand here. Man left to his own devices cannot do anything but devolve downward.
Correct. Well, that was my process about the evolution. We're actually devolving. Our genome system is getting corrupt from where it was from the original.
Man cannot evolve without regeneration from the Holy Spirit. So man left to his own can only devolve downward. Man has no possible ability to evolve upward on his own.
Paul, thank you very much for calling. We appreciate your call. This article continues. If evolution is true, don't atheists have a point? No. To simply rule out of order any question that go beyond the natural world is a circular argument. This leaves out profoundly important spiritual questions, such as why are we here? If there is a God, and what happens after we die? Those are questions that science is not really designed to answer. So why would we try? Let's go to Stephen live at 244-0077. Stephen, how are you today? You're live in Mac's World.
Hey, how you doing, Max?
Good.
Hey, I want to say you guys do a pretty good job. I appreciate you guys' show. You guys do actually say an awesome job, actually. But I was just calling on this evolution thing and saying that your first question, I guess, in regards to saying evolution and creation can be true at the same time. Is that what you asked or you said?
Well, I'm quoting an article from Francis Collins almost 9 years ago in Christianity Today, where he says, yes, they both are a part of God. Okay, well, I fundamentally disagree with that in the sense that evolution is the very opposite of creation, in the sense that it is a tool of our enemy, our adversary, in the sense that it uses death to bring about design or life or creation, and God is not about that. Jesus did not do that. I mean, it in a sense, it takes away. Evolution takes away the aspect of the need of Jesus Christ for the blood that was atoned for us. So in that sense, I mean, I know there are people out there that are old creationists. I know the people that believe in theistic evolution, but there's no, and there's even scientists out there that try to prove that. I mean, there are people for the reasons to believe that try to say this and say that, but if we look at what the Scripture says, it says that He made the heavens and the earth and all that is in them in 6 days, and on the seventh day He rested. Now, when we look at that and we see that it was created with age, with a semblance of age. I mean, Adam wasn't 2 years old walking around. He was a full-grown man with age. Eve the same way. The earth has age to it, but it doesn't mean that it's billions of years old. Right. So in that sense, I mean, when you look at, you said something about microevolution. There is microevolution. And so in that sense, a dog is a dog, but it does not become a cat. It does not transform or evolve into a cat. We don't see that, and that's what we think of evolution as one form to another. I know you're coming to a break. So. All right, Stephen, I appreciate very much you calling. You're a smart guy. He's a smart guy.
Yeah, we had talked to you before. We've had some...
we'll talk to you a little bit, Stephen. Thank you.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs,
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed. Fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing bread.
That's great. This is ridiculous.
The Truth Network.
Right now. Ooh. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it. Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
Now listen up.
Exclusively on The Truth Network, 99.3 The Truth FM.
All right, 22 minutes before the top of the hour on the 28th day of April in the Lord's year 2017. Why do I keep trying to make it 17? 2016. J. Michael McCoy here on a Thursday afternoon. We appreciate you being here. Tomorrow, the big question: when is too much in discipling? When is enough too much? When is it time to stop pursuing somebody you care about?
When somebody tells you, leave me alone.
You think so?
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that.
No, you don't give up on them, but you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat. You just figure out another avenue to get the same job done, but you don't keep doing something that you don't keep the frontal attack going up that they're trying to stop.
By the way, for those people who love cats, I don't share the same opinion with Frank that you can skin a cat different ways. I've been to Chinese restaurants. I've only seen it done one way, and that's it. All right, 515-809-0993. That's the Service Legends Truth Text line that you can get in there on a text. Do we have any text, Robert, that you'd like to share?
There's one text saying the tree of knowledge of good and evil is not a weed.
Yeah, right. Did Frank? Did you say it was a weed?
No, I think it was Paul that was mentioning something.
Oh
about
yeah,
pulling
throw
a weed.
Paul under the bus.
No, he was saying
He's not
something.
here to protect himself, or Steven.
Saying something about pulling up a weed.
Picking on my listeners.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a real adult thing to do. They're off the air and you throw them under the bus. Paul and Steven,
Paul,
I'm
how
sorry.
do you enjoy the tire marks, buddy?
All right, listen, I found a really interesting fact, a little article, and this is from a gentleman who is high up in the public conversation about transgenderism and the LGBT question. He is Paul McHugh, and he is one of the top researchers at University, Distinguished Service Professor of University at Johns Hopkins University. He's been there for 40 years. And he says, I've been studying people who claim to be gay and transgendered all my life. Over that time, I've watched the phenomenon change and expand in remarkable ways. A very rare issue of a few men, both homosexual and heterosexual, including some who sought sex change surgery because they were erotically aroused by the thought or image of themselves as a woman, has spread to include women as well as men. Even young boys and girls have begun to present themselves as the opposite sex. Over the last 10 or 15 years, this phenomenon has increased in prevalence seemingly exponentially. Now, almost everyone has heard or met of such a person.
Okay, may I suggest?
No. The champions of this thought, no, go ahead.
May I suggest how something may get introduced into the gene pool or the genetic disposition of human beings? Let's say 1,000 years ago, your ancestors was, let's say, molested by Pope and the papacy and the, Catholic Church. And that person goes on to molest somebody, and that person goes on to molest somebody. So at some point, a like for children becomes in the gene pool of a given family, a given ancestral line. You may be born with a disposition towards that now.
Sure.
But you're still acting upon a choice.
Well, and it's like any sin that we act upon. I want to go out there and throw my family's money at a gambling table. I can't help it. I'm an addict. I'm a gambling addict. No, you're not. You're a sinner.
So why was it imperative? My question is to you, why was it imperative for the Immaculate Conception? So that Christ wasn't born with any genetic propensity, proclivity, bent, slant towards any sin. He was still tempted in all points like we are, but he had no slant or bent or proclivity to sin. Because he was 100% divine, 100% human. As humans, we don't have that ability. We're born with all the sinful nature of all our ancestry for 6,000 years. But we still act upon choices to sin and rebel against God.
Once again, Frank, you blow me away. That's very intelligent. That's why the Immaculate Conception was there, because he couldn't pick up any genetic lines that would cause him to sin. Chris Roloff now joins us, only 44 minutes late.
The empty chair is filled.
So here's an interesting comment from this psychologist at St. John's, or Hopkins. It's entitled The Emperor's New Clothes. Everybody know that little nursery rhyme? Your sex is a feeling, not a biological fact, and can change at any time. That's what the LGBT transgender group wants you to think. That marches on through our society. Now, in a way, it's reminiscent of the Hans Christian Andersen tale, The Emperor's New Clothes. In that tale, the emperor, believing that he wore an outfit of special beauty, he would, especially to the rude or uncultured, he would parade naked through his town and courtyards among citizens who absolutely knew his reputation. Many onlookers to the contemporary transgender parade, knowing that a disfavored opinion is worse than bad taste, today simply fear to identify it as a misapprehension. I am ever trying to be the boy among the bystanders who points to what's real. I do so not only because truth matters, but also because overlooked amid the hoopla, enhanced now by Bruce Jenner's celebrity, and Annie Lobatsovitz photography stand many victims. Think, for example, of the parents whom no one, not doctors, not schools, nor even churches, will help to rescue their children from these strange notions of being transgendered and the problematic lives these notions herald. These youngsters now far outnumber the Bruce Jenner types of the transgendered. Although they may be encouraged by his public reception, these children generally come to the ideas about their sex not through erotic interests, but through a variety of youthful psychological conflicts and concerns. This guy goes on and on and on to talk about how he has spent, in the 70s, it was Johns Hopkins University that pioneered sex change operations. They stopped doing those in the mid-'80s because they discovered what they were doing was hurting the individual even more, because after the sex change, they'd be all confused and say, wait a minute, I'm not this either. And so Johns Hopkins University, under this professor, stopped doing them. So why don't we take a look at the facts rather than the feelings? You know, I'd like to feel that I could fly. And if I went to the top of our building 6 stories up and said, I can fly, I feel like I can fly, I can flap my arms, all that fat under my arms, I can flap them and fly. And then God takes over the minute I step off. Why is it that we as a society are buying in to these ridiculous feelings? I know, Snowflake, that's how you feel, but let's go to the book, The Creator, and find out what, are you ready for this? The truth is.
We walk by faith, not by feelings. It's impossible to please God without faith. So clearly, feelings have no bearing in the matter.
515-244-0077. That's the number you can call if you'd like to add to this conversation. You may. I don't know if we're going to get to my big insurance story that I teased earlier. It's a great story. It talks about how millennials are now willing to give up their privacy behind the wheel and in their phones so that the man knows everywhere you've been, how fast you've been going, when you stopped, where you stopped, to get lower insurance rates.
It's been happening for years.
Yeah, I have firsthand experience with this with my grandkids. So we will talk about this a little bit when we come back. And just let the trend, just pray for anybody who thinks they're gay or transgendered. Pray for them. Don't be critical of them. Pray for them. We'll be back live on The Truth.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common, everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
3, 2, 1. It's showtime. That's great.
This is ridiculous.
The Truth Network.
Right now. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it. It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
All right, now listen up.
Exclusively on The Truth Network, 99.3 The Truth FM.
10 minutes before the top of the hour, 3:50 top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then my special guests, Ryan Jorgensen and my friend Kyle. Ryan's going to talk about organizations, denominations, religions that say they're Christian, and the Bible says they're not. I mean, not by name, but by fruit, works, faith, belief. And Kyle himself was in a Christian cult at one time, so that'll be our conversation in the 4 o'clock hour. More than 400 insurance providers from around the world are where today? Do you know where they are today, Chris? 400 insurance providers from around the world are where today?
They're in Des Moines, Iowa.
Under their desk?
Congratulations. It's the 3rd annual Global Insurance Symposium. It's fitting such a large event is happening in Des Moines, according to the Iowa Insurance Division. The insurance industry creates about 100,000 jobs in the state of Iowa, 25,000 in the Des Moines area alone. How do they continue to keep the rates progressive and keep them down and keep it affordable? Well, now you can opt in with your insurance provider, a little source of technology that through a smartphone app or the result of having satellite radio or simply having the internet hooked up to your car, they know exactly where you go, when you do it, how fast you were going, when you stop, when you start, how fast you accelerate, how fast you stop, and every simple thing else. And then with your phone, where you are, how long you've been there. If you get out of the car, they know where you're at. And then with most of the technology within cities, they have cameras. They can't follow you per se, but they can link you up as you go from one camera to another camera to another camera. Millennials say that they're willing to give up any privacy if it saves them money. And Big Bad Daddy Joe, the man, George Orwell's 1984, rolls the end of their curled mustache and says, "Wonderful, just what I wanted the children to do." As we give up our privacy in the name of technology. My grandson had this. Had it with an insurance agency. Plugged a little thing into his car and then plugged that thing into something in his computer and it sent the information back. What my grandson didn't realize is the information he was sending back was actually driving his insurance rates up because he wasn't driving. Well, he was driving the way 16-year-old boys drive, but he wasn't driving the way the insurance company wanted him to drive. So do you think that's okay? Is it okay that we give up our privacy for lower insurance rates or lower cell phone rates?
Well, I have some good libertarian friends who would say giving up any liberty for security, you'll end up with neither.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But this has been happening for years because if you remember the story a couple years ago about people who were claiming that Toyota accelerators were sticking and that some potentially fatal wrecks had happened, and they were trying to say that there was something wrong with the accelerators. It was proven by the black tip box technology that Toyota was placing in cars anyway, that a particular woman who was making that claim had tried to run her car into a bridge to kill herself anyway because she had lost some money at a casino or had embezzled some money from her company to spend at the casino. So she was trying to end her life, and they proved that in a court of law because of the technology that was in the car.
Chris?
According to the article you just read, this is a voluntary opt-in option, and I think that's completely fine. What I don't want is the government forcibly doing this. I think if people want to save buck, if they want to save money opting into this, if people want to give up their privacy, if they want to give up their location, if they want to do that stuff for to save a buck, I think that's just fine. The problem is, because that's freedom. That's freedom. That's your choice. If it's an option on the table and you can opt in to do it or not, that's just fine. It's when those things become mandatory that it's a problem.
Now,
by the way, everybody that has a cell phone is already participating in it anyway, willingly.
Well, I don't have mine on. I do not have my locator on. I don't use my GPS.
You ever use Wi-Fi?
No, I don't. I only use cell. Now, you know what I heard when you were just talking? This was kind of a neat moment.
Okay.
I heard the argument back in the 60s and 70s when the government was trying to make us wear seatbelts. And they would say, well, we're just going to put them in the car because seatbelts weren't in cars until the 50s.
Right.
Well, we're just going to put them in the car. And if you want to use it, you can use it. But we're not going against your privacy. And now what happens if you don't? First of all, every car has one. And what happens if you don't have it on? You get fined. So that's what will happen with this. Cars will come automatically with these things. And you don't have to use it unless you don't want to. But there's a surcharge for this or a surcharge for that. And eventually, if you're in an accident and you don't have this, like if you're in an accident and don't have your seatbelt on, well, we're going to make an issue out of you. We're going to make an example out of you. And then if you don't have one of these in your car and you get into an accident and you can't prove your side, you can't argue a case in court.
Right.
Because if you had one of these, we'd know the facts. Otherwise, it's just your opinion how fast you were going, son.
Right, and that's all fine and good. But how do you... what are you going to do about that? I mean, we can whine and cry and shout and hoop and holler, but just like seatbelts in cars, I mean, that's a good example. We have seatbelts in cars now. I mean, the way car seats have changed. When I was a kid, car seats versus, I don't know, Mac, did you put any of your kids in car seats? And then how long do they have to sit in car seats and all this kind of stuff? I mean, this stuff is always going to change, but how do you not participate in that?
Well, here's the problem.
How are you going to not participate in technology?
Here's the problem. When Mac and I was growing up, we were always taught that driving a car was a privilege, not a right. So if it's a privilege, then you got to accept the burdens that's put on you by the persons who validate your license. You don't get it unless you get validated by that source. So if they decide you've got to have seatbelts or car seats or helmets to ride a motorcycle, I guess it's their privilege.
Right. We voluntarily choose to participate in the culture and the systems, in the cars and the cell phones and the technology, having computers and so on. We do these things voluntarily.
So render unto Caesar.
Sure. Nobody's forcing you to do it. Right? Nobody forced me to have a cell phone.
No, but in having that cell phone, they get into your privacy.
Sure.
And that's wrong. There's this thing in your phone that'll tell you your GPS, but it also tells anybody and everybody exactly where you're at any given moment.
And some with the tinfoil hat will say if that phone is on, they can turn that into a microphone device to listen to your conversations.
So don't use a cell phone? I mean, if you don't like it, you can just not participate in it, right?
That's true.
If I don't like Target because they got these weird bathroom laws, I don't have to go to Target if I want to. I mean, I think the thing is we want convenience. We don't want to be inconvenienced. So we willfully participate in technology. I know I do.
That's right. All right. We're going to take our top of the hour break. The news from the Salem Radio Network is coming up. In the next hour, a very, very interesting conversation about religion, cults, and Jesus. It's next, live here on The Truth.